Hello, my name is Scott Poster. I'm your fire chief. I'm the fire chief in Newport Beach, California. My responsibility is to take care of each and every one of you in the most efficient way possible, and we do. This city is served by 8 fire stations, with 39 people working every single day to provide a service to you, to provide a service to the community, and to protect our visitors and residents at all times. Our primary mission, besides fire suppression, is emergency medical service.
Newport Beach has been around as a fire department for over 100 years. We just celebrated our 100th anniversary, and we are one of the oldest fire departments in the county. So we have a lot of traditions, but we're also not tied down to any one particular thing.
Initially, in the old days, we started as a fire department. Now, as we progressed along, we're more of an all-risk department. In the 70s, we picked up and embraced EMS. We started doing emergency medical services in the field. And then in the mid-1970s, we added paramedics to our firefighting force. And our firefighters here are all paramedics, so they do double duty. They're a firefighter and a paramedic. Depending on what the emergency is, if I have a medical emergency, I have people that can handle that with the skills they've been trained to do. If I have a fire, I have them trained to act as a firefighter and do firefighting skills. So it's kind of the all-risk, all-purpose approach with our people. Whatever the emergency is, we're trained to go out and handle it. We have a wide range we have high-rise buildings, which are always a huge problem with firefighting. We have commercial, we have residential. We're surrounded by Crystal Cove State Park. We have wildland. So basically we have a little bit of every type of fire problem that's out there. So that makes it a little bit challenging that we have to be prepared for any one of those types of emergencies on the firefighting side of it.
One of the great things about Newport Beach Fire Department is the level of service and care that we give to all our community. We have a high level of professionalism, and we're striving constantly to improve our deployment model.
I think it's important for people to understand all the various aspects that firefighters are faced with in the modern society. We do train often on firefighting techniques, from ventilation to different ways to attack a fire, but we also have very specialized technical rescue from our urban search and rescue teams, otherwise known as USAR. EMS is about 80% of the things that we go to, so everything that we do is EMS related, from a vehicle accident to a fire that somehow comes into play. And then we go above and beyond. We work with our people. We have a lot of variables that we have to train and prepare for. So we have to take people and build them from the ground up. And we basically expect them to be faced with nearly every situation that there is that could be thrown out there. And we want them to be best prepared so that they could deliver the highest level of service to our community, as well as keeping themselves and others safe.
The fire department is broken down into several divisions. We have marine operations, which is responsible for the beaches. We have fire suppression or fire operations, which takes care of rescue and fires. And we have emergency medical services, or EMS, which takes care of health care. Some of the geographic features we have in Newport Beach that we have to evaluate in our response matrix is something most cities don't have: water.
I think it's really important to emphasize how integral a professional lifeguarding agency that is integrated with the fire department is to a city like Newport Beach, because the ocean and the beach is such an important part of the community, and it's what really separates Newport Beach from a lot of other cities in this area is that we have a beautiful coastline. We have 26 miles of oceanfront and bayfront, and having a professional lifeguard service, as we do here, that's integrated with our fire service, makes that community so much better.
The Marine Operations Division of the Fire Department is a dynamic staffing operation where we swell and contract as the seasons change and the weather changes. We have 38 lifeguard towers, and we have 12 lifeguard vehicles and 3 rescue vessels out in the waters. We have 13 full-time staff and 200 seasonal staff that patrol the 7 miles of beaches that we protect. We typically do about 4,000 rescues every year, but the stat that we pride ourselves on is our preventative actions. This year, in 2014, we are looking at close to 200,000 preventative action, and that is our guards getting out and talking to people, telling them of dangers in the water or on the beach, and moving them to safer areas so they are having a good time here at the beach.
Normally during the summer when our lifeguards are at full staffing, which is the busiest time of year, they have lifeguards at every tower, lifeguard units or trucks in between, and then also our lifeguard boats. And so when the fire department gets a call for service from the lifeguards, it's because they've gone to the scene of the accident or the medical aid and determined that it's a higher level of medical care than they can give. Our lifeguards are trained to the first responder and EMT level depending on their level of expertise, whereas our fire department personnel are trained as paramedics. And so if they need a higher level of care, they'll request a fire department response through their dispatch center, and they'll be dispatched from the closest fire station to the location on the beach.
The city has committed to purchasing the best equipment that's out there. Our apparatus fleet is phenomenal. We have some of, in my opinion, I'm probably a little biased, some of the nicest apparatus I've seen on any fire department anywhere. It's return on investment. You know, we keep these rigs for over 20 years. You want to buy something that's going to stay together, look nice. When you turn the key, it's going to start, and the city has gone above and beyond to get us those vehicles. They're going to last for a long time. They're going to serve their function, and they're going to, you know, that return on investment is there for that piece of equipment. So yes, and if you look at our ladder trucks, state-of-the-art ladder trucks, we're preparing to order a new urban search and rescue company, which is going to be state-of-the-art. The city has always been willing to spend the money to get the best to serve the citizens.
I have 8 engine companies that protect the city, which engines carry a hose and water. Their primary function is to attack the fire. We also have 2 ladder trucks in the city. My ladder trucks are kind of my specialists. They handle heavy rescues, cut and rescues. There are urban search and rescue folks. They're kind of specialized rescue on fires. Those are the guys that you'll see cutting the holes in the roof. They're more my kind of my problem-solving technician type people. One of the questions I get a lot, the fire chief gets a lot also, is why do you send so much stuff to a call, so many units to a call? And the reason for that is when you call 911, the dispatchers are under a very short time frame to process the call and dispatch the call. Sometimes we'll dispatch a little bit more stuff on a call than we need because we're playing it safe and we want to be conservative.
A typical EMS call starts with someone having an emergency and calling 911.
And when you dial 911, you get the local police department. If you have a fire or medical emergency, they immediately transfer you to this center. MetroNet is a joint dispatch center for 8 cities. It allows us to share resources with other cities to get the closest units there, regardless of the boundaries, city boundaries. And the dispatchers answer around 300 to 400 911 calls a day.
We'll determine what type of call it is. We'll send the call to dispatch, and another dispatcher on the other side of the room will send the proper equipment for that type of call. And then if it's a medical aid or something of that nature, then we'll go through and ask them a few questions and then give them instructions until the fire department arrives. If anything changes or gets worse, just give us a call back on 911. Okay?
Then our portion of it starts when we're activated and our engine company in their first in area responds to provide initial stabilization of the patient. On a typical medical call, each person that is on the call has an assigned role. The captain, first of all, oversees the whole thing. The engineer is in charge of moving people. We call them our transportation specialist. And the firefighter is in charge of taking initial set of vital signs as well as providing an initial assessment on the patient. Once the paramedics get there, each of them also have a role. The initial patient paramedic takes care of talking to the patient, assessing them, and doing any skills needed such as IVs. The radio medic is the one in charge of documenting and contacting the hospital and provides additional care and transport to the hospital, which ends when we transfer the patient to the hospital staff. Another obstacle we run into is moving patients. It seems on almost every call we have to move patients up or down stairs or long distances, which requires several personnel for moving.
Our response times are very quick in Newport Beach. We enjoy a response time where we can get the time of alarm inside a fire station to a resource at your door, most of the time within 6 minutes.
I
think what I appreciate most about Newport Fire and paramedics is their professionalism and their comprehensive knowledge. It's very obvious to all of our physicians in our department that the Newport paramedics are very highly trained.
If someone gets hurt in Newport Beach, or if a fire happens in Newport Beach, they can rest be assured they will have someone at their door immediately providing a service that they'll be very happy with, because our people are very well trained to do it.